before Anthony starts, you've heard it from the first person you rode with, that it's all about mindset. That's all about controlling your emotions. Well, that's easier said than done, control your emotions. Anybody that knows me, know that's one of my biggest weaknesses. I can't control my emotions. Record number of write-ups with HR at Tesla. Can't control my emotions. Did you throw that chair at that guy? No. I threw it at the wall. If I wanted to hit him with the chair, I would have hit him. Emotions. Right? Up, down, solar coaster. Wow, I got it installed on Friday, I can't wait. Oh, customer's got to delay it for a month. I got 3 appointments today, this is going to be a great day. Every single one of you stiffs you. The one in the middle tells you solar doesn't work. We go through the entire spectrum of emotions in one day. I have never, in 10 years, I've been to a lot of trainings, I want to learn, I've read a lot of books. There's not one training that I've gotten more out of, that I'm excited to sit down and watch again, is this training with Anthony Marino on controlling your emotions. I don't even know if that's right. Is that what it's called? Yes. Okay. Everybody put your hands together for Anthony Marino. Salesman of the Year is going to tell you the most important way to keep your emotions intact.
I love this song. What up, everybody? Hold on. When I learn how to use this mic, we can get started. You got to keep it right here? Not like I'm drinking it?
Like you're jerking it.
All right. All right, everybody. I love seeing this team. I love these conferences. All right? Every once in a while, I start to fall out of it. And I'm not keeping it going anymore. And then I come to these conferences, I see all these new recruits. All right? And I just think about where I was when I first got started. All right? It was a lot different back then. Crazy atmosphere. Opiate pandemic, you call it. Housing market crisis. A lot going on in my life. Right? A lot of going on in all your lives. You weren't probably thinking you were here. What? Oh, you can cut the music on. And now you're here. And how did you get here? Who got you here? Where were you when you got here? What were you doing? Were you praying every single day that you wanted something better? Were you starting to change your lifestyle a little bit? Saying to hell with everything else, just going at it every single day, wishing for something better, making little changes in your life? And then that little change in your life, maybe you ran into Cameron. Maybe you ran into Jill. All right? There was all a part of fate. Fate that happened to you and you didn't even realize it. And it's a lot about what I'm going to go over today about the law of attraction. Okay? And then I'm going to break down the law of attraction to the ridiculous. And what controls the law of attraction? Because it's a real thing if you believe in it, right? Law of attraction is a real thing. If you start making little changes in your life for the positive, and you attract that positive energy into your life, okay? Whether it be sales, who you hang out with. All right, my grandfather used to tell me, old school Italian, when I used to see him every year at Christmas parties, and I used to be like, hey, he used to tell me about your life. And I would always come up with this bullshit, and I would be like, oh, I'm doing so great. Meanwhile, my father would be telling him, like, don't listen to anything he says, right? And I'd be like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And he would always actually say to me, he would be like, tell me 5 people you hang out with, okay? Your 5 best friends, and I will tell you who you are, right? And that always stuck with me because I couldn't tell him my 5 best friends because my 5 best friends were absolute retards, weren't doing anything with their life. And then I would actually look at that and be like, I'm not doing anything with my life either. That's why I got to make up a bullshit story, right? And then growing up with this old school Italian mentality, I did construction before this, okay? I was never meant for construction. It was just a family trade, all right? And I always wanted something better, but being in the atmosphere that I was and the people that I hung out with, I was always working paycheck to paycheck. By the time I was like 24 years old, all right, I was like most construction guys. I had my son's mother left me, working paycheck to paycheck, being broke, and wishing for something better. But something happened to me that year. Something amazing happened to me. And I got 45 minutes, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about this stuff so you guys can vision this. All right, something happened to me that year when I was praying for something better. Okay, I got 3 speeding tickets in 1 year and lost my license. Couldn't work, couldn't do construction. Child support was due, I was broke. And then my friend called me, who I really shouldn't have been hanging out with, and he was like, I got a job for you. And I was like, what's that? He's like, you get in a church van every single day, okay? And they drop you off door to door. You got to dispo houses. You got to go door to door, put it on your little laptop, say what doors you hit. And you're going to sell home heating oil and alarms. Coming from construction, okay, not having to load trucks of steel all day and sheetrock and all that shit, coming home beat up, I was like, anything is better than collecting unemployment right now. So long story short, I'm just the type of person that when I do something, I give it 100%. That's just me. That's what my father built into me, this hardcore work ethic, all right, at a young age, which I'm super happy about. And then I get in this church van every single day and I dominate the door-to-door industry. Something I never thought I was gonna be good at it. But just coming from my field of talking to blue-collar people every day, I just dominated this sales industry. This girl that was in the van that I knew from the area, she got the job. Her name was Stephanie Spiegel. This is Jill's niece, all right? She saw how good I was doing. She had an out. She was gonna go work for this company, Solar City. When I heard the word Solar City, I said, oh my God, my dad's actually security guard at Tesla at the time. I was like, I wanna work for this company so bad. I want out of here. A few months later, I got a call from Jill, a phone call. She actually put the word into Jill. I get a phone call from Jill. This was my life. This is the law of attraction playing out. Me stop doing things, just working hard, changing little things. 5 months later, I get a call from Jill. Jill at the time was the manager of the Albany office. I remember the first words he said to me. He was like, how many sales do you do a week selling oil? And I only get like $25 a sale selling oil. I make more if I sell an alarm. And I was like, I do 5 sales a week selling oil, right? I thought I was big. And he turns around and tells me, if you did that in this industry, you're gonna make over $100,000 a year. And I thought $100,000 a year was so much money. I really did. That's so much money to me. So much money to anybody, really. And a lot of people aren't making that. But $100,000 a year was in my mind. And I was like, you don't even got to sell me on it. I want to work for the company anyway. And he didn't hire me right away. It took, like I was saying before, months and months and months to get this job. When I finally got the job, I dominated, just like in that industry, was regional sales manager within 6 months. It all happens very quickly. You can't keep up mentally with that kind of pressure. It destroys you. It destroys you. Not only that, okay, that was just that part. Within a year of being the top sales rep of the company, and this is why I'm here to do this training today, within 6 months of being the top sales rep of the company, I get hit with the worst kind of autoimmune disease you can possibly have. Okay? Deathly. My disease is myasthenia gravis. I still have it today. So right when everything is going perfect in my life, I'm making the money and everything, I'm ranked at Solar City, I'm the top sales rep. I'm getting trophies for being, I went from top 100, top 20, top 10, top 1, being on Zoom calls every week doing trainings. I first met Taylor McCarthy when he brought me the trophy from the Massachusetts office for being the top sales rep. And then 1 month after I did it, the kid that I trained won top sales rep. All right, so it's amazing times in my life. Everything's going good. Boom. legs cut right out from under me. That year was the worst year of my life, the worst trauma anybody can possibly go through. I have a kid, all right? I have a son. My son was probably gonna grow up with no father. By the end of the year, I don't know if you guys know what myasthenia gravis is, but I want everybody to open their hand up right now. Just open your hand up. Now let go of the muscle. What happens? Your hand just closes. All right? It's like 1,000 pounds of force coming down on your hand because you have no muscle. And you take that for granted every single day because you have these muscles to control your eyes, to control your talking, your swallowing, your lungs, your arms. I remember I was at a fair selling solar. I thought it was 90 degrees that day. This is when it first happened to me. It was 90 degrees that day. I thought I was dehydrated. My fingers started to close. Okay? I went home that day. The next day I went to the gym. Now I was very strong. I was almost like Cameron. Same time of the year. I was an athlete. Everything was going good. I went to the gym. I went to throw up dumbbell flies, 30 pounds. Boom, the weight just hit my leg. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Next thing after that, I went threw up 15 pounds. Couldn't even get up. Arm hits my leg. Something's wrong. And after a year of tests, I still kept up everything in my life, but after a year of tests, and I don't want to depress people, they finally found out I had my disease. The next year, they didn't know how to treat it. I almost died. I was actually on my last leg. I remember this. I had Vivint, the managers of Vivint coming in, and they were like, I was going from Trinity to Vivint. They wanted to give me a $30,000 sign-on bonus to start, okay? And I remember signing that contract and my legs giving out from under me and collapsing. And they were like, holy shit, are you gonna be able to do this? And I was like, I'm gonna be good. And right after that time, I saw the head of the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation. He got me on the right track. Within that 3 months, I was the top office for Vivint. And the 30 recruits that I hired in those 3 months, they called it the Columbine, were the top sales reps for new guys within that 3 months. Long story short, I'm here at PlugPV now, but how did I do it? How did I do it? And it all goes back to this training that I'm about to give you guys, okay? How I kept the willpower up, how I kept my mind focused after all the shit going on in my life. How did I do it? Death on the table, all this stuff, not being able to succeed because I couldn't go back to construction. I couldn't even swing a hammer, okay? That is why I'm giving you guys this training today, because some of you are naturals at this. You don't even know you do it every single day. Others, like Tony is a natural at this. I don't even think he's ever gotten this training, but he's had some serious trauma in his life. And this kid is very positive, looks at life through a positive scope, a lens. And he doesn't probably even really know he does this, but it can be done. You can control your emotions. And it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. Like practicing for a football game or practicing for anything that you possibly do. You have to know it, number one, and then you have to practice it every single day. You have to identify it and then practice. So control your emotions, master the art of your consciousness. A lot of this comes from things that I learned, and a lot of it other comes from books that I read, but I got very, very knowledgeable of this topic. Ben, you can go to the next slide. All right, so the purpose of this training, like I said, identify your emotions, number one. Practice self-control. Have the power to change your thoughts, the willpower, and learn to attract positive energy into your life. Next slide. This is not new stuff. Smartest man in the world, this is my favorite quote. Everything is energy. That's all there is to it. Match the frequency of your reality. You want to the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, it's physics. It's physics. We can control our brains. We can control our thoughts. We can control our emotions. All of this stuff throughout the years about this stuff, doctors are just trying to give you medication, but you can actually control your body's physics. Okay? Next slide. Now I'll get into it a little bit. Law of attraction, I was talking about this. What you think you become, what you feel you attract, and what you imagine you create. Now, you might not believe in law of attraction, but I'll tell you right now, if the 5 people you hang out with are all drug addicts with no jobs, you are gonna probably most likely be doing drugs and not working, being in the system. But if the 5 people you hang out with are Andrew, Taylor McCarthy, Jill Sutherland, or Zach, you're probably gonna be on this sales team, probably making $100,000, $500,000 a year, probably not even doing drugs. So there's truth to this law of attraction. And it goes with everything. It goes with abundance. You know what I do every single day? When I go to the gym, I don't count reps. I don't say like 1, 2, 3. When I go to the gym, I say to myself, I'm gonna make money today. I'm gonna make money today. When I say something to somebody, when Jill's like, how many numbers are you gonna get this month? I don't say, I think I'm gonna get 20. I say, I'm gonna get 20, Jill. Maybe I'll get 15, doesn't matter at that point. I still got 15, but it's what I say to myself. If I say I think I'm gonna do it, okay, then I'm already giving myself doubt. And then if I don't do it, I'm gonna shame myself, okay? And then I'm gonna get into this low level frequency, and that is going to play out in my life with everything that I do, okay? Next slide. All right, so this comes from the book version of this training. This is an amazing book. David Hawkins, I think he hit this right on the money. There's been many books and stuff about consciousness and Freud and all that stuff, okay? It's not about whether he was the best one. It's about what I believe, myself, and how I adapt to this book in my training. All right, so I think this one's gonna hit home with a lot of you guys, all right? There's levels of consciousness, okay? That is certain, right? The way he explains it is you have an ego, you have a linear mind, and you have a spiritual realm, reality. Okay? Those 3 exist. The ego, if you're living in that world, is the worst one. All right, we can go to, we experience different levels at different times, like when somebody's on drugs. But we usually are in a predominant state of consciousness at all times, one that controls your thinking mostly, because when you're on drugs, you could be like you could be in a spiritual one, right? Right now, and then when those drugs wear off, you could be in a very, very low state. That would be that situation. But all the time, we are in one of these 3 consciousnesses, right? If you're always in your ego, you're always shaming yourself, you always have guilt, you always have apathy, no love for anything. Most of us, good news, are in a linear mind, powerful, courage, neutral, pride. We're in this room today because we're all in the linear. Now, if you're in the spiritual, okay, you are the highest wisdom, you're like a philosopher. We'll probably never get to that point, but you want to be in the linear and the spiritual. Does that make sense, pretty much? All right, next slide, Ben. Let's start with the ego. Now, I actually always did this training. It's a good group training for some of you managers, okay? I always like to know my sales reps. I always like to know what they're thinking, what their emotions are. And what I used to do for a little test is I used to put the 17 emotions on the table. We're gonna go over them in a few minutes. And I used to ask these guys, what emotions do you guys normally feel? Is it anger? Do you shame yourself? Do you guys have people on your sales team that shame themselves after every deal? Like, fuck, I'm an idiot, I didn't get my deal. I pick up on this stuff, the way things people say to me. The ego is shame, which would be the worst emotion. Guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and then getting into pride. Okay? At this level, you are probably contemplating suicide. You're not taking any necessary steps to prolong your life. You're just shaming yourself every day. And I'm going to show you guys how this all works out. I'm just throwing them up there so you could see them real quick. Let's go to the next slide. Levels of consciousness, right? Linear mind. Courage, this is where we are. This is where most of the people in this room, you probably wouldn't have got here today. Nobody would have recruited you if you were in the ego. But since you're in the linear mind, you started having willingness, acceptance in your life. You started having reason, courage. The person that found you, recruited you, thought you were a good pick for this opportunity. This is the state of mind you were probably in. This is the level of true power you want to grow and improve. You have the capacity to take care of your personal and spiritual development, and everybody in this room is at least starting here at this point in their lives. Next slide. And then this is the higher levels. These are the love, joy, peace, and the highest level is enlightenment. Now, how this is all going to break down, I'm going to show you guys how to control your mind with this next slide. This next slide is actually the training itself, all right? Enlightenment being the top, and the ego emotions being the bottom. You have 17 different emotions you could possibly feel at any time. All right? Now, there's a lot more emotions, but they go into the category of these emotions. So the way David Hawkins breaks it down is he puts the main emotion up there. And he actually, it's not numbered here, but I put it in a scale from red to light green. Shame being the worst and enlightenment being the top. And over here, what this is over here is the law of attraction playing out. And now how this works, I'm going to make this make sense to you, right? How do we now control what we think? It's very simple. It's so stupid, it's simple. It just takes practice, like I said. Imagine for a second, I walk into a room, pitch black. I have my little living room table there. And I can't see anything, and I walk into the room, and I stub my toe. Ah, motherfucker. Ah, that fucking hurts. You know what? I'm a fucking idiot. Every time I walk into this room, I fucking do this. When am I gonna fucking learn? I shame myself 6 days to Sunday. Guess what? Did I fix the problem? No. My fucking stupid ass, next time I walk into this room, is gonna stub my fucking toe again, and I'm gonna do it over and fucking over again because I never learn and all I do is fucking shame myself. Right? Now watch. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. Oh, fuck. You know what? I'm gonna move this table over here. No more is this table gonna be here. I don't even fucking need it. I just switched shame. Maybe I did it accidentally and naturally just because I'm smart, but I just switched shame with enlightenment. And guess what? I'm never gonna stub my toe on that table again. Does that make sense? Now that's something I just did naturally, that's easy. Let's go with another one. Apathy, that's my favorite. I am actually a very I'm an apathy person, I really am. Like, as the years even get on, I'm more into sales. I start falling out of love with things. Humans, number one, right? I can't stand people, I still gotta love them, right? But this is somebody that just stops loving everything. Maybe you stop loving selling solar at some point because you're just making tons of money. Nothing's fun for you anymore. That's where I am at my career. When Andrew is not selling anymore and I have nothing to compete against in this company, I start falling out of love with it, which turns into falling out of love with my sales and the experience. Taylor McCarthy, great quote, find somebody to chase, right? That's gonna help you with this process. But apathy, a simple explanation I could say of this is you fall out of love with a girlfriend of yours or a boyfriend, and you absolutely hate that person. And then with apathy, you start getting guilt. I wasted 10 years of my life. Now you start saying this shit, you start shaming yourself because you broke up. Everybody in this room goes through this situation, okay? And which it leads to 3 months of your life after you broke up with somebody, because that's what it was like for me. I could never get over a bad relationship. It just fucked my life completely. And I start pretty much going down that barrel of negativity. So then, how do you fix that situation with your brain? Well, if you practice what I'm telling you, there were some amazing times in that relationship that you had with that person. Took 10 years out of your life of vacations. It wasn't always traumatic. It wasn't always, fighting and stuff like that. You went on vacations. You have memories of that person that you have to delete off your Instagram. Now, mentally, how do I get over this situation faster? Am I just gonna shame myself every single day? Am I gonna tell myself grief? Am I gonna be in a fear of getting into another relationship because of this problem? No. What am I gonna do? I'm immediately gonna start saying good. Does anybody know Jocko Willings? Yeah? Did you ever hear the one, was it what is it? Power of Good? What was it called? It's the one where he says the power of good. And it's extreme ownership, right? Extreme ownership was my favorite one with him. And he says if you can say the word good in any situation, you're going to better that situation. Didn't pass the test? Good. Didn't get the gear we wanted, he says, good. His boss always came to him, he's like, I don't even want to say anything to you because every single thing out of your mouth is, I always know what you're going to say. You're going to say the word good. Because if you can say the word good to anything, right, which would be flipping your brain, he automatically is programmed just to say the word good. Broke up with this girl? Good. Now I can go get another one. Didn't beat me in sales this year? Good. I'm going to beat you next year. Right? So that is what he's talking about here. So I am going to now break up with this girl because I don't want to be in her life anymore. And I am going to switch that with acceptance. It happened. I'm going to accept the fact that we're not together anymore. And instead of feeling fear, I'm going to feel reason. I'm going to reason with myself. I can't change what happened, okay? It was a shitty situation, but I understand the problem. And then I'm going to switch that with joy and peace. I didn't take 3 years off my life. There was a lot of good times there. And then I'm going to turn that into willingness with my brain, say, good, now I can go out there and find a new girl, which I did. I just got married this year, okay? After all the beat up ones and shitty ones and fucking, it's out there. I never thought I would be finding the wife of my dreams. I was like, fuck no, there's none out there. There's none that can compete with me, deal with me, any of that shit. But it's out there. And why did it happen? Because my life, I stopped hanging out with all the fucking crazies and started getting into a world where now I was meeting more amazing people. And that one came along. So you can relate this with anything in your life, okay? There's a ghost in the room. Nothing I could do. I'm fucking dead. Can't do anything with a ghost. Or I can accept the fact that there's a ghost in the room and I have two choices. I got to get the fuck out of here, okay? You could say the word good with everything, and this is how you practice it. Now, I am not perfect, okay? I actually have to, every probably 3 months, write these emotions on a mirror. I do. And then when I start getting angry, happens, Jill and Ben's seen it. When I start getting crazy because the sales job is fucking me up, drove 2 hours, got stiffed, okay? What do I say to myself? Well, I had a whole hour I was going to kill with this person. Well, now I'm going to go get 3 jobs in its place. Sales are not where you want them? Good. Okay? Now you can get better. And then eventually, you start, if you were in the ego, which is the bottom, you eventually put yourself into the pride. You start meeting people around you like this, and then you start vibrating in the top one, spirituality, and then you realize there's nothing else in the world that can bother you. There's nothing. When you start thinking like this, there is nothing that can stop you. It's hard to there's some people in this room, like I said, do it naturally, okay? There's nothing that bothers me. Nothing is worse than fucking death that I almost had with my autoimmune disease. Nothing is worse than where I was 10 years ago before I met Jill. Everything that is happening in my life is happening perfectly. And you know what? Knock on wood. All right? Knock on wood. But once you start thinking like this, your life just changes. And that's all I got for you guys today. All right? I can go on for hours. I know you guys got a lot of questions. But Remember one thing, you're all in this room because you've all been, all right, in that middle section. Get yourself to that top section, increase your sales. There's some other changes you gotta make, okay? I'm always here for anybody that's got any questions, all right? And then you guys will see where your lives are gonna go. You're not only gonna be rich, but you're gonna be mentally stable. And that's important in this life. That's important in this job, okay? Because you can have a ton of fucking money in the world, okay? But you could be fucking absolutely depressed and hate yourself. And that will go to a bad place when you have all of a sudden a ton of money and a ton of time, okay? It can get bad. It can get really bad. You wanna be having a ton of fucking money and feeling good because now you have a lot of time and you could start thinking about what you're gonna do with that money. All right, guys, thank you very much.